Bill Scott is the Chief Executive and co-founder of the Wilton Group in Teesside. Bill has an unbelievable reputation in the Teesside area for what he's built and also given back to the community through jobs, apprenticeships and mentoring. I literally couldn't wait to interview Bill and talk about his journey, what it's taken to build a business like the Wilton Group that at its peak had over 800 staff. We talk about why and how we started the business and all the highs and lows along the way. Bill's passion is infectious and you simply can't not be inspired by listening to him. From the oil and gas crash in 2014, the importance that apprentices have in your business, this episode has it all. Thank you so much, Bill. This was a real honour for me. I won't lie, I've had the opportunity now a year in this podcast to interview some unbelievable guests and learn a lot through the way, but this was a real moment for me interviewing someone like Bill, and it was pretty special. So thank you very much. It means the world to me. And it would also mean the world to me if you would like or subscribe to the channel through either YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And again, please feel free to share and like and comment on the material, and we'll keep hopefully creating good interviews with better guests. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Great stuff. So a massive warm welcome to Bill Scott OBE and to the Manufacturing Leads podcast. I've been really excited by this one. I won't lie to you. I'm really looking forward to it. So met Bill a few months ago. Brilliant meeting. I just knew I wanted to get him on. So, Bill, I always start the same way, the same question. What does it mean to you to be a leader, would you say?
Ooh, right. First thing that comes into my mind is that you're just one part of a cog. The leader, you can call it leader, but basically you've got one job to do, which is to cajole everybody together, basically lay down the right principles of, what you want them to do in terms of being open, honest, and working towards helping, working together, working with the client, and all that type of thing. And I think that, I don't like being called boss or leader, or I have a job to do. I explain to people that, when you come on site, you first meet security. They're really important. If he didn't do his job right, then you'd end up going to the wrong place. When you get to the receptionist got the right thing to do, and so on and so forth. So I've just got a job within the company. That's how I look at it.
Love that. I completely resonate with that. Funny enough, when I came to see you a few months ago, the first person I saw was obviously the security guard, and he was great. He was good. Do you know what I mean? And you just get an instant warm feeling about the business. Do you know what I mean? 100% right.
The most important thing for me is culture.
Yeah,
it's having that culture, where everybody can work and talk openly and honestly, and it's really important. And it starts from the beginning, but it's got to go right throughout the business, So yeah.
Brilliant. Well, look, I'm really keen to dig right for the journey, because obviously what an amazing journey it's been. But let's take it right back to the start, early years. So Teesside lad, born and bred.
Are you ready? Ready for this?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. 2 pound baby. That's where you start.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 2 pound baby, born in a street house in Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
And mum and dad said that we're told that he might not survive because of his back in the day, black and white telly days. Things weren't as good as they were obviously in hospitals. So having a two pound baby wasn't a good thing. And born as a 2 pound baby, and must be a bit of a fighter, I think. And I love my area. I love Teesside. I love the Northeast.
Yeah.
I support the Northeast. I mean, somebody says to me, "What football team do you support?" I just like watching football.
Yeah.
Yes, I like Middlesbrough. I'll happily go and watch Sunderland, Newcastle, Hartlepool, Darlington, all those, and cheer them all on.
Yeah.
So So from a work point of view, a massive advocate for Teesside. Sort of with the flag and do everything I can to bring prosperity to the area.
Yeah, excellent stuff, and that's it, and that shines through outside looking in. What you've done for the Teesside area is unbelievable. When did it become apparent that for you that you wanted more from what you're doing? Do you know what I mean? Because there must have been a stage, obviously doing a trade, whatever it was, that you wanted more than what was in front of you.
Yeah, so I was really fortunate. I got a job in an engineering company, and I got it by being chopped in the neck by my first managing director.
Yeah.
Didn't know that at the time, but he was my basketball coach, and he literally chopped me in the neck.
Yeah.
There was no reaction from me. I just literally carried on.
Mm-hmm.
He rang my dad the next day and said, "What does your son want to do?" And I want to employ someone like him that just, is not going to sort of whinge and moan. He just got on with it and just, shook hands at the end of the game, never said a word, and that was it. That's what I want, that type of person.
Yeah.
When I was 18, he took me onto a job, and he said to me that he was amazed at what I'd achieved in just in 2 years as an apprentice, and that one day I would be the managing director of that company.
Really?
Yeah. Which is, and so it sort of planted the first early seeds. I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
And as you move on, I got headhunted. I think I was 22 years old. No mobile phones then.
Yeah.
So the phone had rang at home, and my mum picked it up and she passed it over to my dad because he asked for Bill Scott. Because when you're young, you're called Billy, right?
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember what age you are. It's just like a pendulum. It turns. You suddenly call Bill. You know what I mean? So asked my dad. Talked about this headhunting job, and he said, "I think you speak the wrong one." So he put me on. Didn't know what a headhunter was. Had no idea what the crack was. Went for the interview, and I said, "Well, could you show me the project you're looking to do?" And I said, "Look, where are you going to build it?" "Oh, we're going to build it in here." No, you're not. You're just not really. No. So can we go into the workshop? Because obviously I got interviewed in the office. Went to the workshop, and it was tiny, in comparison to what size project you need to do. And I said, "You'll never be able to fit in here." "Well, why not?" I said, "Well, just think about the jigs. Jigs, what's a jig?" So I thought, right, it could be a long baptism of fire here.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got through and explained to them. I got to take measure. I measured it, what a jig would be like, one jig, and then there was 200 of these things to build, and clearly it wasn't anywhere near big enough. And I said, "I think you need somewhere about 10 to 15 times the size of this place to make it work." Anyway, the interview ended. I got in the car, and I remember they came running out and tapped on the window, and I wound the window down because no electric buttons. Wound the window down, and he said, "Just before you go, you've got the job. Look, we're not going to interview anybody else." And I thought it was quite amazing, really. So
yeah.
But then I got headhunted again, and then again. So I got headhunted 3 times, and then at 32, I decided to set my own business up.
Going back to like 22, I mean, most 22-year-olds, even 22-year-olds that probably thought they knew they knew better, probably wouldn't have the gumption and the confidence to go, "You're doing it wrong." Was that just instilled in you that you see something, you say it, and?
Well, I think what it was the company was fundamentally an electrical company.
Okay.
And what we do is fabrication, which is completely, it's like black and white, it's completely different. So, and I got the feeling that, they were probably very good at the electrical, but from a manufacturing point of view, they didn't really understand what it was. So I didn't want to sort of mislead them into thinking, well, we just need to find somebody and we'll be able to do it in here without actually, and it's to the point where I said, actually, if I was you, right, I would strongly suggest you find out who did your estimate. I sit down with them and with you and go through it to make sure that you haven't, where are you on the cycle of the contract? Because if you've signed a contract and you've absolutely massively undercut it, the company could be at risk of going under. And they're like, "Oh wow." So I end up doing that as well.
I imagine the salary negotiations are quite easy at that stage.
Well, that job sort of took me out of my manufacturing role into actually managing. And at the end, I actually went offshore. Did the installation. I was installation superintendent offshore, and then I wrote the actual operation and maintenance manual for them as well.
Excellent.
which I didn't think I had in me, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I did it, and yeah.
What do you think it takes for people to manage at such a young age sometimes? Because a lot of people do get thrust into management at that age.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So my first big job, I'd have been 20 years old, and I was in charge of running a shutdown on the blast furnace, British Steel. And there'd been about 35 people there, and ages 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. And I learned very quickly to get things done. You don't tell people what to do, you ask them.
Yeah.
That was the sort of thing that sticks in my mind now. And the job went really well. You know, got finished on time. That's the other thing, is to you know, be a plan and deliver. But by pushing and telling people to do stuff doesn't work. Asking. Can you do this? Can you do that? You know, would you? You know,
I love that.
Please, can you? You know, it doesn't matter. You know, it's just. But it was so that job got finished, and that's from that point of view. I just started then running projects all the time. You know, so.
What age was it that you were sat there thinking, I'm going to own my own business? Was that in your head for a while before it happened?
I would say that was when he talked about me being the managing director. That was a pebble dropped in the pond.
Yeah.
And I was from that point of view, subconsciously, I was obviously thinking about that. And as I got headhunted, I thought, right, you know. And so for each job, then I got each time I got headhunted, I took on a different role. So I was like, you know, I was in charge of manufacturing quite a lot. Then I used to go out on sites as well and look after the sites, and then I wanted to know about finance. How do you control finance? You know, and all those sorts of things, to become a more rounded player. I remember brushing my teeth at 32 years old, looking in the mirror, thinking, I remember the time thinking, right, it's time.
Yeah, really, you just knew.
Oh yeah.
Was it a case of you before that you were making sure that you had enough in your locker that when you did it, you were well-rounded? Because you have to wear so many hats, don't you, when you first start?
Yeah, I absolutely. And I think I can't work out whether I was doing it subconsciously or actually doing it consciously to do that. But when I look back now, I'd become a rounded person, you know, by doing these different tasks, you know, and it really helped. You know, so I was able to, at that point, I'd been a quality manager, been a production manager, been a works manager. I'd grown companies from like 18 staff up to 150, that sort of thing. And so I was good at growth. I understand what growth was, and knew how to manage growth as well. I just, and what I did, I think, you know, as you change different jobs, you know, you see the good things that some of the managing directors did well. You see some things they did not so well. Some things they did disastrously wrong. You know, and you take all of those learnings. You think, right, I'm not going to do that, you know, but I'll do a bit more of this good stuff, you know. And it was, you know, so to be fair, I was in a good position at 32 years old with a wealth of experience. I'd written a business plan. I'd chosen somebody to go into business with. That was my first partner, which was Steve Glenn. I'd worked with Steve previously. You know, people said, "Oh, why did you choose Steve?" You know, and I said, two things: hardworking guy. Oh, sorry, three things: hardworking guy, honest, very honest, and he knows what he's doing. So, and that was simple, you know. And we set off on the business journey, 50-50 partners. We went to 3 banks. Each bank told us that the business plan was far too aggressive. It never worked. So we got declined by all 3 banks. And then we went to the Yorkshire Bank. Funny enough, I was in the Yorkshire Bank personally, and so was he. So we went on to the Yorkshire Bank, and they signed us up. And we actually smashed the first year, where they said it was impossible. You never be able to do that. We absolutely smashed it.
Amazing. Did you have visions? Obviously, the size Wilton now and everything you've done. Did you sort of visualize and think that would be the case, or did that just happen over time?
No, I didn't visualize that. You know, people say what I did was I did want to build a substantial business. That's why I took Steve on. Because what I thought about, I thought, well, if I start on my own and I'm the only director, the only shareholder,
Yeah.
it could be a slow burner.
Yeah.
I might get to some kind of decent size over many, many years.
Yeah.
And I realised to take on a good partner would I'd be able to grow it quicker.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. So we set up the business up in 1994. In 1999, we were building things that big. We couldn't find anybody big enough to paint them. So we started our own painting company, which is now, I noticed yesterday, it's voted as the biggest painting facility in the UK.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Rah, rah, rah. Yeah, I don't know about that, but that's what it says on LinkedIn, so it's got to be true, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Then in 2000, we met Steve Pearson, he's now our managing director. We set up a company called Wilton Marine Services, and he did the marine side.
Yeah.
And latterly, what we did is we pulled the marine side into the engineering, and Steve's now our managing director for the whole thing. Like so.
Did you just work that? Did you just bounce off each other in the early days? Because sometimes,
very much so.
Did you?
Absolutely, it was a tradition.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Egg McMuffin, right, and a cup of coffee. Every Saturday morning, we sit down and just chat like friends, and just chat about things that we thought we should do and how we move forward, and that type of thing. Yeah. Good times.
People have different motivations for starting businesses. Some people have motivation to be out of it in 10 years' time, to sell, to whatever, to live abroad.
Yeah,
it's one of those, and it's each their own. You never seem to you lost your passion ever. Is that
no? Last right. So I was at dinner last night.
Yeah.
With rear admirals, with commodores, with Lord Lieutenant, and the Lord Lieutenant's husband had hold of my arm last night before I left his house, and said, "The passion is infectious."
Yeah,
your passion is infectious. Yeah.
It is. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
I met you. You were kind enough to do for the Entrepreneur Forum. There was a mentorship program, and within 30 seconds of meeting you, you were just. Do you know what I mean? Just the passion.
And it's the passion to help others as well. That's the key thing.
Yeah,
that's mentoring. Something I get. The mentee, the person that I'm mentoring. Hopefully they get a lot out of it, but I get just as much out of it. I learn as much from, I learn a lot from you, and so I'm giving back, but I'm learning at the same time, and it's really good to see people, and people when they go away, they think, wow, he's told me this, that, and the other, but they're only I call little nuggets, and they always walk away with at least one golden nugget. That they use forever, and why not do that? It's brilliant.
Yeah, 100%. And off the back of some of your advice, we started up a new division of the business off the back of a conversation. So I'm massive with that. Building a business is hard. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing. It's great, and there's challenges along the way. How do you? What would you say has been the toughest point in that long career, Wilton? Would you say?
I would say definitely when the oil and gas crash happened in 2014. Quick version is the oil price dropped from $150 down to $18, I think it was. We had 9 months worth of work in front of us. I was in the meeting with some senior executives from the oil companies. Felt like to me, this is before it was announced, by the way, it felt like to me that something was seriously wrong. And I'd stayed overnight at the hotel after the meeting, phoned my PA and asked her to cancel a flight, which takes 1 hour, and the option was to get the train, which takes 5 hours. And I remember saying to me, "Why do you want to do that?" I said, "I need some time to sit and think about everything that was said, write some notes down, and then I'll replay it back when I get there." So when I got to the office, I called all of the directors in the office in, and like senior managers.
Yeah.
And I said, right, I might be an absolute nutcase, right? However, I was at a meeting yesterday, then carried on with dinner on the evening, and I think that we're in for the biggest oil and gas crash that we've ever seen.
Wow.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So a little bit in shock. So it was a case of, how do we then plan around it if it was right, if I wasn't an idiot.
Yeah.
I was actually right.
Uh-huh.
So the first thing you learn is in terms of banks, right? So banks don't like surprises.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the first call was to the bank. Once we'd convinced ourselves what we had to do to move forward, we then decided to call a bank. The bank came down with our bank manager and the regional bank manager as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I explained to them what I thought was going to happen, they said, well, we have experts who are based in Aberdeen and London.
Uh-huh.
That's what they do. They just go around and they have coffees with people, and they're just listening and watching and looking for the pulse for any sort of difference in the way that the oil prices are going to go.
Yeah.
And they hadn't heard anything. So, and I said, right, okay. So the upshot was, well, we haven't heard anything. So, what are you going to do?
Uh-huh.
And I said, it was so overpowering to me. I'm going to plan for the worst. That's what I'm going to do.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, they just said, all right, okay, just leave. Yeah, you do that then. Yeah. So I planned. Yeah.
But it happened, didn't it? Overnight.
Oh, did it happen? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
quickly though. Uh-huh.
Well, I would say, well, people think it was overnight.
Uh-huh.
But what you've got to understand is I thought I knew about it 6 months previous.
Yeah.
I've been planning that to downsize our company in the knowledge that I think that was going to happen.
Huh.
And I remember the call from the regional manager saying, "Oh my God, how the hell did you know this?"
Yeah, I bet. Uh-huh.
I said, "Good feeling."
Yeah.
I use these.
Uh-huh.
Watched them as well, and then my stomach was telling me that something not right here. And it was a defining moment, really, because then he said to me, well, we've got companies that have got such a big portfolio with the bank, we can't even close them down. Could you go and tell them what you've done to survive? Oh, yeah. To survive, which I did.
Yeah.
And those companies are still going today,
Amazing.
That I would say that was the toughest.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, obviously, amazing you had the foresight to do something in advance, but how hard was it? Because you're having conversations with people, you're potentially letting people go. We had to
let hundreds go. And
Uh-huh.
I remember talking to our HR director and said, look, we've got to let, as projects finish, we have to let these people go. But we're going to explain to them as to why letting them go. We've got to treat them with utmost dignity, try and find them other jobs, which we did. Most of them, we got them other jobs. And then explain that we, when the oil price starts to return, we will be starting to fire back up in anger, if you like. And so now, from that point, I don't think we did another oil and gas job for 7 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So what we did is we decided to look at other markets. Yeah. We sat back and I was saying to people, right, who are we? Who are we? What are we? Mm-hmm. What's our USP? What are we going to do to go forward? In a simple note, can we captivate what we are in one sentence? And we came up with we're designers and manufacturers of large, complicated structures. That was it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So who else needed that sort of service? So we looked at oil and gas. Dead. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nuclear was a definite possibility, but it takes forever to get into nuclear. Yeah. The defence industry was definitely a possibility, but it takes a long time to get into defence. Mm-hmm. But offshore wind gave us an opportunity as long as we could sort of try to get UK content going. Yeah. So that was our challenge. So we decided to go with offshore wind. Yep. We were successful in building some significant size projects in that space. But whilst we were doing that, we were also talking to the defence industry as well. Okay.
Yeah.
right now, the defence industry accounts for 90% of our work.
Wow, brilliant, amazing.
Yeah.
There's two lessons there for me. I think one is, which I think is a real lesson in, you're the boss. I know we talk about your cog and machine, but actually sometimes you've got to make decisions, and sometimes you've got to make decisions irrespective of what people think. And if you think they're right, you've got to make them. And I think actually I find that difficult sometimes. That is it the right one? And then probably if you'd have hummed and armed and taken some advice and delayed, you would have been in the. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, and to be fair, I'd convinced myself on the train.
Yeah,
In my little black book, I'd written all these notes down.
yeah,
I'm thinking, I've convinced myself now it's going to be bad, you
yeah.
know. And then how do I articulate that to the staff
Uh-huh.
in a sort of a positive, negative way?
Yeah,
If that makes sense. So I want to be positive that look,
got a plan.
if we know our destiny, our path,
Yeah,
and we can control that destiny,
yeah,
rather than panic. Let's not panic. Let's just do this as an exercise, yeah, and make sure that like I said earlier on, that everyone's taken care of.
yeah,
And we just got through it. We were, but so I remember talking to all the different directors, talking about what they had to do. Giving them all tasks to do.
yeah.
Let's reconvene in 2 days' time, and let's pick through all of those different things. And and we were proven right, absolutely right. If we hadn't done that, would we have survived? I very much doubt it. There was a lot of companies didn't survive that unfortunately.
Yeah.
But those that were fleet of foot, if you like, they managed to get through it.
I think that the other lesson massively is obviously pivoting into different sectors, but understanding how you do that. Because it's manufacturing. I mean, COVID's a prime example of companies that did that very well. Suddenly thrust into a situation.
Similar thing.
Do you know what I mean? Exactly that.
Similar thing. So with COVID, that came along. We identified when that person left Italy, the skier left Italy with 6 people, and they went like, we had a meeting in our office, sat down and said, this is gonna come like a wave. We need to prepare. I think that we literally sat down and said, right, we have to keep going because we're a manufacturer. The rules were, if you can work from home, basically in a roundabout way, if you can work from home, do it. Work from home. If you can't, then obviously stay at work and you can't build submarines. Can you? So it was a case of right. What's the most important thing?
Yeah.
The most important thing was that the staff got paid, that our supply chain got paid, that we got paid. So what we decided to do was to, in terms of the finance team, was split them up immediately. So we sent them all home, right? So all working remotely. We put the systems in place so they could all talk to each other and work remotely. And that was really important, because if they just stayed together and one of them caught COVID, they wiped the whole team out. You wouldn't be able to call the money in that you were owed to be able to pay the money that you owe, that sort of thing. And that worked really well.
I imagine because you've gone through big changes in the past, people will trust you even more as well, because they know that when Bill makes a decision, or when this business makes a decision, it's for a good reason. We've got a plan. Do you know what I mean? Because it's
we do plan well, and it's the same as as being an engineer. And planning's a basic principle of engineering, being able to plan what you're doing in terms of timing and understanding all those different logics that go in it. So,
as it stands now, obviously start the business with just 2 of you. As it stands now, I mean, size and structure of the business, how big has it got to now? What's the?
Well, we got up to 800. In 2014.
Uh-huh.
I think we went down from 800. I'm going to guess, but I would so 300. One of the companies was sold. That was the Aberdeen company. So went down to 500. I would say we went from 500 to, I'm going to guess, but about 60 people.
Yeah.
Significant number.
Yeah.
up to about 320, 30, 40, something like that.
Yeah.
But we're, every day now, my computer pings at least 2 or 3 times with a new starter.
Yeah, exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is exciting. Yeah.
Apologies for interrupting this podcast for a very quick 30-second pitch of my business. Theo James are a specialist manufacturing and engineering recruitment search firm based in Seaham in the Northeast. If you're looking for any staff or a new opportunity yourself, from a semi-skilled level right the way up to C-suite executive, then please get in touch. We have a specialist consultant in each discipline ready to help. I'm extremely proud of what we've built over the years, and I'd love to extend that service out to you. Thank you. Enjoy the podcast. Do you ever sit back and reflect about what you've built?
Yeah, I think when I talk to people, I say to them, sometimes you should stop and just look back.
Yeah.
Because you don't realise how far you've come.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we set off with 2 people in a porter cabin, and we now, in 2006, we bought our first modular yard.
Amazing.
It was owned by Hibernia Oil and Gas, Swan Hunters, all those different people, big, massive companies employing thousands of people. And little old Wilton Engineering bought this modular yard, and I remember people saying, "God, you must be absolutely nutty to do that." But we had a plan, and we got the directors together again, and we walked the site and said, "Is this the place where we want to grow a business?"
Yeah.
And I remember taking them for a cup of tea and sitting down and said, "Right, 4 teas, 4 bacon sandwiches, right, one at a time." There was 4 of us, right. Yeah. First one, you, Steve, right. Is this the right thing to do for the business? And I just want yes or no. No convoluted stories. And anyway, they all agreed it was the best thing. So unanimous decision, let's do it. And that was the first one in 2006, 2008. We bought the next piece of adjoining land to us. And then last year we bought the Haverton Hill shipyard, which was owned by OSB. So we now have 112 acres. I think, is it 5 slipways? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 keys.
Yeah.
And like Sir Michael Fallon said to me, "Bill, what's your USP?"
Uh-huh.
Good question. I said, "Our USP is we don't deliver by road."
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
He said, "Just explain that to me."
Yeah.
I said, "Right, okay." I said, "Right, if it can be delivered by road, anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to have a boat or a barge to come alongside to move it, that narrows the competition down somewhat."
Yeah, absolutely. Good USP. That it actually is a USP as well. I love that. What keeps you motivated now? Because like you say, the passion oozes through you, and you're obviously highly motivated. You're a position where you don't have to work as hard as you do. There's no doubt about that. What keeps you still there, still passion?
I just wake up every day. I enjoy every day. So I always tell everybody I meet, kids, all that type of thing. If you can get a job where you enjoy going to work, it's not like going to work.
Yeah.
It's like if I was a golfing professional, and I love playing golf, then that would be a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
Doing engineering, so it's just I probably get as much joy going to work as Rory McIlroy. You know what I mean? So it's I just enjoy it, and being able to give back's brilliant. I love working with charities. I love mentoring people. That sort of thing. So yeah, and it's just these, and being able to see that by just doing small things, you can make so much difference to other people's lives. Yeah. That's the beauty. Yeah.
Love that. You've obviously done so much for the Teesside area. Talk me through how the OBE happened, and obviously now the of North Yorkshire as well, fairly recently.
Yeah. So the OBE totally out of the blue, no idea, not a clue. Honestly, I was actually in the bath when I was given the letter. It'd been posted, actually. The letter had been posted, and when somebody sort of like delivers one of these leaflets and they roll it up and they stick it in top of the letterbox.
Yeah.
Then it leaves the letterbox lid open. been some fairly bad rain, and all the letters were soaked, and this brown letter was wringing wet. And as I opened the envelope, I couldn't even understand what it was. I thought it was a speeding fine at first. And then when I realised no OBE, oh my God, it's just but absolute terrific day, an amazing honour,
Yeah.
So it's been three things really for me. Is the OBE, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
The honorary doctorate from Teesside University, which again was out of the blue.
Yeah.
And then more recently, the announcement that I've become a deputy lieutenant for North Yorkshire, which again is another honour. Brilliant.
What Teesside? I mean, I've lived in the northeast for 20 years. I'm actually from Yorkshire, from Sheffield, but I can tell Teesside is its own community of people who are very proud to be there. Why do you think that is? That togetherness.
I explain to people that I found that Teesside people are quite friendly. Mm-hmm. When people come up from the north, especially from the south, especially they get this warm. Actually, Sheffield's the same.
You think? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So our best friend Paul, who passed away just a few weeks ago, he's one of the directors, and he was from Sheffield. Lovely man. Yeah. And we've put loads of people from Sheffield and North Yorkshire, and that community, they're just lovely people, actually, Yeah. And we're talking yesterday about on the train. I was sat with one of the admirals from the Navy, and Rear Admiral, and he was telling me that when you go on the underground, nobody talks to each other. You literally, and they have this ability to actually not actually stare at anybody in the face either. It's like it's weird. He said it's weird.
Yeah.
But he said then we come up to somewhere, because he'd come up from London yesterday. Last night I was out for dinner with him, and he said that the fantastic, the way that people react. I think that Teesside and the northeast in general, Yorkshire, we collaborate really well. Mm-hmm. Work together. I mean, that's been one of my biggest things, actually, is to not be when I'm speaking at a conference or something, I would say the only C word I use, and everybody takes a big sharp intake of breath. Anything could come out. And I use the word collaboration. I think that is really, really important, because together we're stronger. Yeah. Forget being a competitor. Forget that. I mean, we could work with you. We could give you work. You could give us work. Yeah. We could work together on something. If the job's too big for you to do, maybe we could do it. That's the way forward.
100%. We talk about Teesside and what you've done for Teesside, but I think that the biggest one of the big ones is definitely the apprenticeships and the people that you've had through Wilton over the years. Why is apprenticeships and apprentices always be important to you, would you say?
You go back to your very first question, but was about, we started work. Mm-hmm. Somebody gave me an opportunity as an apprentice, and I think being given that opportunity for me, I took it, and I enjoy what I was doing. I still enjoy what I'm doing today. Yeah. So I think that you have to invest in apprenticeships. Yeah. They are the lifeblood of the business going forward. And I was over at BE Systems in Barrow, and I was absolutely blown away by what they'd done. So what they've got is they've built their own academy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the difference between us and BE is massive, if you like, by the way. But Steve and I were there. Steve Pearson, our MD, and I were there, and we literally walked around this academy. It was just fantastic. Really? And before we got back to Teesside, we're driving in the car, we decided we were going to set our academy up. Nice. So and the idea was to try and maybe start off by taking on 30 apprentices every year if we can. And so apprenticeships 4 years. So at the end of the first round, I would love to think that we'd have in excess of 100 apprentices, and then we just keep spinning, churning through the apprenticeships, and people said to me, last night at over dinner, they asked me, what about, how many can you retain? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I always find that everything life's works around Pareto's law, which is 80-20.
Yeah.
So if we can keep 80% of them, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
The other 20%, if they want to go away and cast their own pipe in a different way, fantastic. They're going to fill the pool somewhere else. That's right.
Yeah.
So that, and I think, if again I go back to things like if you really enjoy what you do, give these guys the apprenticeships that it's going to give them the chance to work for the rest of their lives, then that's something fantastic. I mean, I'm 62 now. I started when I was 16. I've never not had a job any day.
Yeah.
And so if you were given a choice, then that's a good choice to take.
And it still saddens me, I would say, that the lack of apprenticeships coming through. And I speak to more and more companies that struggle to get them. I speak to more and more people from schools who say that there's not enough awareness. It's people coming from universities and that's all they know. And there's people who feel they're not right for university and they don't want a 40 grand debt.
Yeah.
What else do you think companies can do to really help plug that gap? Because it's going to be a big problem if not, I think.
Yeah, and I think, well, they could listen, couldn't they? They could listen and watch. I mean, we would be open to having discussions with them as to what we've done.
Yeah.
So when people think about apprentices, they just think about platers, welders, pipe fitters, fitters, that sort of thing, electricians. That's what they think about. Well, actually, it's a broader picture because it's not just the guys on the shop floor. They do a fantastic job, by the way. But you've got to also look at your staff. So we're looking at we've got design engineering apprenticeships. Where they're going to, instead of going to university, they're doing they are going to university, but over a longer period. Yeah, they're actually working, so they're gaining experience, real hands-on experience about how to design, stuff, and then they're also going to university, going to end up with a degree anyway at the end of the day, but they haven't got a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 pound bill at the end of it. Yeah. So we do that. So we've got what have we got? QSs, so quantity surveyors. We've got estimators. We've got planners. Yeah. And so we're not just backfilling the workshop floor, and some of those people, those youngsters that we're bringing through, I'd like to think that they'd be the managing director one day. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's that sort of thing, So
100%. I still think there's a bit of a stigma for some people behind apprentices. Exactly like you say, it's hard, heavy work, but actually, there's people like you who have worked their way up. And do you know what I mean? I think people have I understand that.
Well, if I look back now, when I was at school, only the brightest kids went to university. I mean, real studious type kids, all I wanted to do was play football, play basketball. Yeah. Just look out the window thinking, God, what time is it? It's going to be 4 o'clock, just to escape, So I didn't have any aspirations at all to go to college or university. Yeah. I knew where I stood in the pecking order in terms of academic capability, and it wasn't for me, And it was funny because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought about joining the Navy actually, or joining the Army at that time, because careers was like, it was the history teacher or the geography teacher, and sit you down, right? You're a boy, so you've got ICI or British Steel, take your choice. Yeah. And I'll go in the Army. That's what, honestly, they were the three things. That was it. Yeah. And there wasn't much. The career advice was shocking actually. When I look back now, it's terrible. Yeah. And what I'd like to see is there's a lot of colleges do take youngsters on and they bring them in at 16. Yeah. And then they train them for a couple of years and they try and get them placed into companies. Now, I feel really sad when they don't get through, when they get to 18, and I'm going to put it in a real sort of not very nice way. I feel like they're being pushed off a cliff. Yeah. They're enticed in to take apprenticeships on, but they're not with companies or with the college.
Yeah.
You know, and all of the colleges doing the best to actually train for the first 2 years. You know, businesses should man up and take these kids on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to look into something, and I think it's in Germany where there's a percent. If you have employ so many people,
Mm-hmm.
so if you employ like more than say 10,
Yeah.
you have to employ 5%. You know, of your workforce, and that's, I think, you know,
Right.
I mean, now, percentage, you should maybe go off percentages, but I think, you know, a lot more companies should take apprentices on.
100% agree. Completely agree. This will stop people from taking generic degrees because they don't know what else to do with big debts, coming out with English, maths,
Yeah.
they don't want to be a teacher. I mean, I just think it's wrong. I think, exactly like you say, it's not just the trade side now. I mean, there's HR apprenticeships, there's customer service apprenticeships, it's everything now, isn't there?
It's so that. It is that, yeah, and you know, where does the next HR person come from? You know, they've got to be trained.
Yeah.
But, you know, they need to go through that apprenticeship. No, I speak to a lot of accountants and a lot of lawyers, and I'm not kidding you. They're struggling to try and find apprentices to actually to go into those things.
Yeah.
Same as banking, the same thing.
100%.
You know,
it is.
it's you know, I think the apprenticeship schemes, you know, I think the government, they've tried hard to put a lot of money in to support that sort of scenario. But I'd love to see more apprentices getting a chance, more young people.
Yeah, and before I got into recruitment, I trained as a career advisor, and you are pushed more towards university. You are pushed to push those links more, and it's not right. It isn't. But yeah,
just one thing on the apprentices. So our youngest apprentice is 16. Our old apprentice is 31.
Yeah, good on me. Exactly.
And what we did, we approached some of our staff, our workforce, and we've got people who are labourers.
Yeah.
So that they're there to like assist in all sorts of different things, and we've offered the labourers, would they like to be trained up as an apprenticeship? You know.
Yeah, I love that.
I think a couple have signed up for it. So, you know, all of that's really, really important, isn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%.
So don't just think it as young people.
Yeah.
31-year-olds is going through an apprenticeship.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout. Manufacturing obviously is engineering it's been a funny old couple of years. It's been up and down. What do you think is the biggest challenge it faces right now, aside from obviously what we've just discussed?
I think the biggest challenge at the moment is having enough qualified people.
Yeah.
You know, you're in recruitment. I mean, there's just not enough people for the jobs. It's the first time you know, in my lifetime that I've seen there's more vacancies than there are people.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, and we have, you know, Teesside is a massively growing area. We've got Tees Works on the go with 4,500 acres. We've got people like SEA coming in with 500 million facilities. You know, they need 750 jobs to be fulfilled. You've got carbon capture and storage on the horizon. You know, and once that happens, there'll be a plethora of other size companies required. You know, and all those people, you need these people that can come in, that they're trained, they're going to do the job. You know, there's lots of opportunity. You look at what's happened, you know, in Treasury North coming up. DIT have come up to Darlington as well. You know, there's such an array of things happening in Teesside.
Yeah.
And but you know, unless you train people, you know, there won't be enough people.
Yeah.
What I like to do, I like to think that people in universities would stay in Teesside. There was opportunities for them right now in Teesside rather than going down to London.
Yeah, no, completely. I love that. Excellent stuff. I've got some quick fire questions, Bill, which are never that quick fire, but we'll have a go. What do you think are 3 things which you think make up a good leader?
3 things.
3 things, 3 words, yeah. What do you think?
All right, okay. I would say honesty, being honest and open with your workforce, and being honest and open with your clients. I think passion, we talked about passion earlier on, you know, having the passion and showing that passion in a positive way. And I think the other one is to establish a strong, vibrant culture where that open and honesty can be shared. I think probably those 3 things.
Yeah, love it. Big fan. You could kind of, well, the interesting your answer to this one. What's more important, do you think, the academic route or on the job learning when it comes to management?
Well, I think this the academic route proves that you've got the capability to store information and regurgitate that information.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is that if you don't go the academic route, you can utilize your experience. So I think that you well, I use this one with me and Steve Pearson. So I didn't go to university. There's no chance of me going to university, but he did. He got a degree in mechanical engineering, and he was a qualified European welding engineer. So we both started off there. He went to university. I didn't, but we both ended up the same spot. So I think you can equally. I think it's what mentally, what do you want to drive yourself to? I think that's it.
Love that. Excellent. I always ask the last question, a question to ask the next question. This question was from Sarah Blacksmith, who's the general manager of Siemens. She said, if you think back to a time when the culture of your business was the best it's been, what would you put that down to?
Well, I would say the culture of the business has never changed.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think the culture of the business was set. And it was set on day one. I think we've just been open and honest with our staff. I remember somebody coming to see me. Oh my God, 15 years ago, something like that. And he came to see me and he said, "Bill, unfortunately, it's time to move on." I said, "All right, okay." I said, "Look, where are you going?" And he was going to go offshore and work offshore. He said, "I can't turn down the job. It's amazing money, blah blah blah." He said, and I remember him saying to me, he said, "But I'm going to tell you now, I've had like loads of jobs before I came here. I've been here for 5 years. I've never stayed anywhere more than a year before. I've been here for 5 years. My wife loves me being at home, working at home." But she put it this way. She said, "You seem happier now than you've ever been in your life." He was a rigger, this guy. Yeah? He said, "So I don't know what you've got, but if you could bottle it, you'd make a fortune." So I don't think I think the culture's been embedded from day one. Yeah. It's just, and we all work hard. We play hard, and I think the culture's set. Can I go back to something else, right? So I remember sitting in a sauna once, and I watched these two people, and there were these two guys. There's only me on one side, and these two lads, and they were just chatting amongst themselves about their businesses. And one guy was like really sort of disapproving of his staff in a really nasty way, And I remember me talking to him after the other guy had gone out. I said, "Right," I said, "Sorry, but I couldn't help listening there." And I said, we are like literally polar opposites. What you're saying there is completely 100% different to what I actually feel. That I actually value, my employees. I don't say they work for me. I mean, with me. I mean, so I don't say they don't work for me. They work with me. Yeah. You have completely different attitude. And we sat and talked, and it was a bit of mentoring actually over 2 or 3 coffees. And then this guy won an award for and he thanked his staff and all that type of stuff. Yeah, he did change. He did change his
mentality, isn't it?
It was. I think what was happening in his own head. It was all a problem. They were a problem, and he used to get quite angry with them and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, he learned to understand actually if he treats his staff right, and they can change, So I'm going to say culture is. I think you've got people who are instinctively like me. Right? I'm a giver. I just give everything, but not everybody's like me. And I used to class people. There's only 2 people in the world: givers and takers. Yeah. Now I know who the takers are within seconds. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I can work with them, but I understand what they are, and I understand what the givers are. You know what I mean? It's weird, but culture is really important in the business. I would say that's the number one thing.
Yeah, I agree,
especially for retaining staff.
Yeah, 100%. We're tickling times like this, and I completely agree. And plans moving forward for yourself and for the business next 12, 18 months? Some stuff happening. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. I was going to say I can't tell you otherwise. I've got
some nuclear probably
get
that.
Yeah, that'll give you an idea. But yeah, no, you've seen the announcements in the press about the government back in defence.
Yeah,
we're now 90% into defence. We enjoy working in that industry. Yeah. It's the key thing there is collaboration. Yeah. To work together, and deliver. You got to deliver. It's got to be high quality. That's what we like. Go back to what I said earlier on when we sat down. What are we? We're design and manufacturing of high quality, large, complicated structures. Yeah. So that ticks that box. So.
Look, you must be unbelievably proud of what you've built, because it's special. It really is.
Thank you for that. And I don't take any self sort of creation on that. It is absolutely those people that work for you that do it. Without them, like I go back to what I said at the beginning, I'm just one person in the cog. And all those people. I used to be in every single meeting. I don't need to be in those meetings. I've got other people now that are really, really making a difference to the business, and actually, making it a better place as well. So it's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, look, Bill, this has been a real privilege, and really enjoyed it. And I'm, I see my role in doing this type of stuff as a real privilege, meeting people like yourself and learning. And I've learned so much, and just how humble you are, but the passion you've got, and 100%, I think the biggest thing for me is the importance you put on the people that work for you and work with you, like you say. I think so many takeaways. But yeah, thank you so much, Bill. This has been great.
Been appreciated. Thanks for doing it, Mark. Thank you.